Do you want to go over your list?
Yes. I'm all excited.
Yep. As are we. Gators narrowed down the choices at 18 to how many players?
Well, I've got it down to 15 possibilities here at 18, right? Yes. Well, because this is, in a way, this is done to laugh at this whole thing because this is ridiculous how many where you could go, how many options you have, right?
Well,
but you got to start trimming it somewhere. And initially the list was over 20, and I started to trim it down. And one of the names I trimmed out, you're not going to be happy about.
I'm sure I'll survive.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying there's reason behind it. And Jack Campbell is left off because I think he's more of a second-round guy. There were names I trimmed off because I don't think they're going to be there at 18. So, like for instance, C.J. Stroud or Will Levis, I took them off the list. But we'll start, and I did like groups of players, right? So, Joey Porter Jr., Deonte Banks, Brian Branch. These are three defensive backs that you would consider, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you only consider them if you haven't taken a defensive back at 6.
Right.
Everything is really kind of contingent on what happens at 6. So if they go with a defensive lineman, then these guys are in play, and then you got to rank these guys where you think they are. I had Joey Porter Jr. because he's the third of the big three, the triumvirate of corners.
Could they conceivably go corner at 6 and safety at 18? Conceivably.
I guess I would put that at a very low possibility.
Yeah.
Brian Branch he's got the flexibility to play safety or corner. And that's why Brian Branch may be the most attractive of the three names I just listed, even though Joey Porter is thought of as being the third best corner. If Joey Porter's not there and you're looking for a corner, you got to consider Deonte Banks. But Brian Branch, again, he could be CB4. He's probably safety number 1, and his versatility kind of gives him the nod over Banks.
It's conceivable, but again, playing along, it's not something that could it possibly happen? Yes. Is it likely to happen? No.
So defensive line wise, okay, I looked at Miles Murphy, Kalijah Cansey, Lucas Van Ness, Brian Brzee, and Nolan Smith. I put him in that group just because he's pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Nolan Smith, I don't think is necessarily going to be there. Although if he does slip to 18, do you start thinking about him? Because how far off of a talent is he as a pass rusher from Will Anderson? A lot of people think that there isn't a whole lot, that there's difference, but maybe not a whole lot of difference. So if this guy slips to 18 and you haven't taken a defensive lineman with the 6th overall pick, does he come into play? Miles Murphy, again, it's about what happens at 6. But if they go with defensive back at 6, then this group of players becomes real attractive. And then you have to decide, do you want the hybrid type player like a Miles Murphy? Or do you want to go strict defensive tackle, Kalijah Cansey, Brian Brzee? So these are the names there. Get to linebackers. I left Jack Campbell out, but Drew Sanders and Trenton Simpson are there. All three of them are likely to be there at 18 for them to pick. And I just thought that maybe 2 are probably more pronounced right now than Jack Campbell, so you'd have your pick of either one, which way you want to go. Drew Sanders is more versatile because he played both inside and out. He's a great pass rusher, and it's certainly a position of need. And the question is he linebacker 1, or is it Trenton Simpson who's linebacker 1? This all comes down to how you would rank your linebackers. Then you go into the offensive side of the ball. Offensive lineman. Is Osiris Torrance the only guy you look at, offensive lineman at this point, because you figure the tackles are all gone, including Skoronski? So I didn't include any of those guys. Plus, tackle isn't necessarily a position. Skoronski is attractive because he can play anywhere on the offensive line. So I looked at Osiris Torrance being the only one, and again, this is planning ahead for when Vaitai is done. He wouldn't be a starter right away, but it'd be an interesting duo if you went with a cornerback at 6 and a cornerback. A duo of a cornerback and guard, whichever way you want to do it.
Well, that's the future contract draft, right? You only have one starting caliber corner under contract after this year, and they might need to save money on a guard. And this plays a bigger role than we talk about prior to the draft. It could be corner and guard at 6 and 18. It wouldn't shock me.
And it could be guard and corner. Could be Skronsky at 6.
Could be.
Then look at running backs. Only one running back to talk about in the first round is Bijan Robinson. It'd be so interesting to add to the offense here. He's the unquestioned RB1. He's a top 5 talent, and it'd be awfully hard to pass up if he is there. Then you go to wide receivers. Jordan Addison or Quentin Johnston. Which one is going to be there? Are they both going to be there? Is only one going to be there? And again, it's how you rank those receivers. There's a lot to love about Jordan Addison because he's so polished as a route runner, catches everything thrown to him. But Quentin Johnston has all the traits you're looking for with a bigger receiver. He's got the size, the speed, the leaping ability. The only issue with him perhaps is the dropsies that he has, but he can make so many plays. It's just interesting to look at that. And as far as I just left one name in there, which was Hendon Hooker, and the only reason he's there for me at this point is because it's that 5th-year option. And then the question about him is, can he hit the tight window passes? You've got the system that he was in. Was that just, is he a system quarterback? You got to answer those questions. But those are the only players I had there. Notice there's no tight end.
No tight end, huh?
No tight end.
And why not?
I decided not to include a tight end because it is a deep draft for tight ends. And they could pick one up in the second round, maybe even the third round. If they were really hell-bent on getting one, they can get one in the second round. It would be a very highly rated tight end.
Okay, with all that said, today, who's your pick?
Can you give me tell me what to do at 6?
No.
Well, you kind of have to tell me what to do at 6.
Tyree Wilson.
Okay. Then I would go with Brian Branch.
Okay.
At 18. I think it's just changed. It'd be between Brian Branch and Bijan Robinson.